A block is just like a foundation used in creating a sloper. Okay, a block is not what you can place on your fabrics, cut and construct. No, you will have to grade a block in order to create any design or style of your choice. So the next one is the dart. What is the meaning of dart and what is the place of dart in clothing construction? Dart means the excess fabrics that has to be taken away in order to give a dress a good shape. If you don't remove unnecessary excess away from your fabrics, the shape of the dress will not come out properly on the wearer. Okay, so a dart must be placed on the waistline. Look at my pattern here. So now you can see the dart I plotted on my pattern. I put the dart on the waist and it was connected below the bust level, which is the apex point. So the dart I picked on the waist will reflect on the bust area. So the amount of dart you pick on your fabrics will determine how fit the dress will be. The next one is the ease. What is the meaning of ease? Ease is the amount of space that is in between the fabric and the skin, which allow free movement for the wearer. Okay, so when you are plotting your darts or when you are drafting your pattern, after adding your seam allowance, you need to add ease. So your ease can be between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch. It all depends on the style you are making. It can even up to 1 to 2 inches. It varies. If you don't add ease to your dress, it will not allow free movement for the wearer. There will not be space in between the fabrics and the skin, as this also depends on the style you are making and the type of fabrics you are using. For instance, if you are making a bodycon dress with a stretchy fabrics like lycra, you don't need any ease allowance. But if you are making use of 100% cotton material, you need ease allowance. If your fabrics is a little bit stretchy, you need ease allowance, though the amount of ease needed when you are making use of a little stretchy fabrics will be lesser than that of the 100% cotton fabric. The next one I have is the allowances. Okay, we have different types of allowances. We have seam allowance, we have zipper allowance, we have dart allowance, we have ease allowance, and so on and so forth. When you are drafting a bodice block or any type of block, you don't add your seam allowance purposely because it is not your final pattern. It is when you are creating your final pattern that you can add your seam allowance. You can either add your seam allowance on your final pattern or you add it on your fabrics. If you know you'll be grading the pattern to make something else, then you will need to add your seam allowance on your fabrics. So you must not joke with all your allowances. If you are attaching a zipper to your dress, then you need a zipper allowance. Irrespective of the style you are making, a seam allowance is needed. You must have a seam allowance which will be used in joining the side seams together, hemming the lower part, finishing the neckline area, attaching the sleeve together with the bodice, except if your style does not require the seam allowance. Your style may not require all the seam allowances I've mentioned, but at least you will still need up to 2 or 3 seam allowances on your bodies. So the next one I have here is the dart intake. What is the meaning of dart intake? Dart intake means the amount of value used in plotting a dart. Just as I said earlier, that for this I used 1 inch of dart intake, purposely because this is a basic dart. We have different type of dart as well. So this is a basic dart that does not require more than 1 inch. So that is 1/2 of an inch here and 1/2 of an inch here. So the amount of value used in plotting a dart is known as dart intake. So the amount of value used in plotting a dart is known as dart intake. The next one I have here is the bust point. I think I've mentioned that earlier. The bust point is where the nipple is. Where you have your nipple is your bust point. So when you are taking the bust point measurement, it must get to the nipple. This measurement can be taken from the side of the neck or from the center of the shoulder. So when we get to that level, you get to understand better. You take the measurement, then it has to stop exactly on the bust points. The next one I have is the facing. What is the meaning of facing? Facing is what you cut out in finishing the neckline. There are different ways of finishing the neckline. Okay, so facing is one of them. If you are constructing your dress with lining, definitely you don't need a facing. But if your dress is not going to be with lining, then you will need a facing. And I've explained earlier how you can cut out your facing. The shape of your facing must be the same as the shape of your neckline. If your neckline is a round neckline, definitely your facing must be a round shape. If your neckline is V neckline, your facing also must be a V shape. If your facing is a sweetheart neckline, definitely your facing must be a love shape, and so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, the shape of your facing must be the same as the design of your neckline. So the next one I have here is the neck width. I will be taking the neck width and the depth together. Number 16 is the neck width, and I have the neck depth as number 17. So what is the meaning of width and depth? Width is the wideness and the depth is the deepness. So when you are constructing or drafting a neckline, you need your neck width measurement and a neck depth measurement. So mostly a standard measurement is required in constructing the neckline. But in some cases, this may require taking the measurement on your client. So the wideness of your neckline is the neck width. Then the deepness of your neckline is the neck depth. The neck width is taken from the center front towards the other side. So the measurement is taken horizontally, while the neck depth is taken vertically downward. So the next one I have here is the notches. Notches. What is the meaning of notches? Notches means cutting a little. On my pattern, I have a notch. So there are different ways of placing a notch on your pattern. It depends on the type of pattern you are making. Are you making the pattern for yourself or for commercial purposes? If you are drafting your pattern for commercial purposes, then you need to make use of a pattern notcher. So that is what we use in placing a notch on the appropriate places. But if you are drafting your pattern for yourself, it does not really matter. For me, I place my notches with scissors. So once I cut a little, after cutting out my fabrics, before removing my pattern, then I will place a notch. So the place of notches on your fabrics is for you to have a perfect construction. When you are joining the front and the back panels together, the hip level must meet with the hip level, while the waist level must meet with the waist level. Also, when your fabric is unfold, you will need to place a notch at the center in order to locate the center when it is needed. So that is the importance of notches in pattern drafting. So the next one I have with me is the sleeve head. I have the sleeve head and I have IS point shoulder. So I will be taking the two together because they go together. Highest point shoulder means HPS. So anytime you come across HPS, it means the highest point shoulder. Then we have the sleeve head. So what do I mean by sleeve head? The upper part of the sleeve block is called the sleeve head. So you can see the shape I have here. This is a one-piece sleeve and this is a two-piece sleeve. So for the two-piece sleeve, which is also known as suit sleeve, this is the sleeve head. The shape I have at the upper part of the pattern is the sleeve head. You can see the shape I have for this sleeve head is different from the one-piece sleeve. And for the one-piece sleeve, the shape I have from this edge, like a slopey shape, is called the sleeve head. Now to the HPS. There's HPS on the bodice and there's HPS on the sleeve. HPS means the highest point shoulder. This is a basic bodice block and this is a bodice sloper. So I use this in grading this. This is a basic bodice block, but this is a bodice pattern with dart manipulation. You can see the shape I have here is different from what I have here. Okay, so all the lines I have here are all my darts. So this is not part of the shoulder line. So what I have from this edge, this is a neckline. So what I have from here to here and what I have from this point to this point also are the shoulder line. So by the time I fold this inward, so can you see what I have? So from this point to this point is the shoulder line. So this highest point is the HPS, which is here, because on the armhole line we've created a shoulder slope with 1 inch. So the shoulder line you are seeing is not on a straight line, it is slopey. So as it is going down, the measurement is reducing. There is a point that is the highest on this point. So the point is called the highest point shoulder. The 1 inch measurement that was taken away on the armhole does not reflect on the points. So it is only from this point that you can get the real armhole line before slanting the shoulder. So the same method is also applied on the basic bodice block. You can see what I have here. So this is very obvious. So here is a neckline. So this point is the highest point shoulder, and what I have here is the armhole. This is the armhole, so this is the neckline. The highest point shoulder is usually beside the neckline, so it is next to the neckline. Then on the sleeve pattern, where is the HPS? So the HPS is usually at the center of the sleeve. So this is the center of the sleeve. The front and the back of a basic sleeve block is usually drafted together. Okay, then I have the center line, which is also the grain line. So which means this is a positioning of the pattern on fabrics. So the point that falls at the center on the sleeve head is the HPS I have on the sleeve pattern. So which means this and this will go together. By the time I'm constructing my dress, when I'm ready to join this together, join the sleeve together with the bodice, the HPS I have on my sleeve must align together with the HPS I have on the bodies. They must meet like so. So what I have on this side is going for the front armhole, and what I have on this side is going for the back armhole. So the same thing is applied on the two-piece sleeve as well. So you can see this point is higher, and this is very obvious. So you can see the shape I have. So what I have from here, so this is the underarm and this is the upper arm. So on this I have the under sleeve and I have the upper sleeve. So this is the sleeve head for the under sleeve, while this is the sleeve head for the upper sleeve. So the point that is higher on the upper sleeve is where the HPS falls. So this point is the highest point shoulder on my two-piece sleeve. So when I'm ready to cut this out, then attach this to my jacket. So this point must align together with the HPS I have on my jacket.